Welcome to the Let's Talk About It podcast. I'm your host, Di McMath. The hardest conversations are often the ones we avoid, but probably need to have. Join me as I chat with everyday people having thought-provoking conversations on some taboo topics. So let's talk about it. Today I'm joined by someone truly one of a kind, my longtime friend and former ambulance colleague, Sue Neale, a woman whose ambulance career began with a story so funny that I've always believed she should be a stand-up comedian after she retires from the ambulance. She's the Brené Brown storyteller of the medical world. Now into her 21st year in the ambulance service, Sue shares her story with me over a glass of wine about how she went from vet nursing to becoming a paramedic, as well as an extremely altruistic side of volunteering her time to take palliative care patients on their final wishes. This episode will no doubt make you laugh, but will also leave you inspired and proud that we have beautiful souls like Sue in this world. If you're ready for a conversation that's heartfelt, honest, and unforgettably hilarious, this is an episode that you won't want to miss. As a disclaimer, viewers' discretion is required before listening to this episode. I hope you enjoy. Hello and welcome to the Let's Talk About It podcast. I have my very good friend here, Sue Neale, and this episode is brought to you by Brown Brothers Moscato. Not really, but if you'd like to sponsor me and my show, I'd be up for that. Pete. What about you?
Why not? Sounds like a reasonable plan, I think. Pay for it, grandfathers.
No.
Oh, God.
Come on, you're at home. You don't know. So we did have obviously, was it last week or the week before? I think it was the week before.
Yeah.
We did attempt this, this podcast and had a good chat anyway, but this is technical issues and so this is take two and we thought, why not do it in a comfortable spot for you and hey, just have alcohol the way.
Oh, so wine never goes in straight to them.
Oh, I like that. So I thought we could start with so Sue and I know each other because we've known each other for 21 years. We worked together in the ambulance and Sue's still a paramedic. I'm not. But I thought you could start by telling us how was it your first week or first couple of weeks in the service? There's a really fascinating story.
Not sure I'd call it fascinating. Embarrassing, but I think it's probably a bit of a demonstration, I guess, of setting the mood for the rest of my career. That one was, I think that was the birth of the fairy. So I think this story's really gone down in folklore. I think
QA's history.
Yeah, so many, even now, amazingly, some uni students will come through and if they've done time up at wherever they are now, Bind or Kids or whatever. Actually a couple of years ago I had this girl came in on placement and, halfway through placement she's like, oh my God, I've got a funnier story that they told us up at and I was like, oh yeah. She started telling the story. I was like, oh, sound a little familiar.
That was you.
Yeah, that was the story. And I thought, and to be fair, even after all these years, there's not too many variations from the original version. So it's kind of stood the test of time. But yeah, so
mouth of the one and only.
Yeah.
How did it go down?
Oh, so I'll probably, we'll edit it a little bit, leave some incriminating bits out. But the bulk of the story was the fact that I think it was I was trying to actually think the other day. I actually think it was the end of my first week. So as my first night shift in the service, my partner had called in sick. He didn't tell me, so I just rocked up to, trying to figure out what I needed to do, and called the supervisor team, and they had a plan for me, but they had said to start with that we needed a vehicle taken from Southport back up to Beenleigh. And so they sent a duty officer at the time to come and pick me up, take me down to Southport, pick up this vehicle and then drive it back. And I was like, all right. I think at the time I was at Springwood, so I hadn't even been to Bendy stations, or even back then, all those, things were making me anxious. And I was, "Ooh." Anyway, so we've driven down. I chewed his ear off at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And I noticed that it's fine. You just got to pick up a truck and just drive it. That's fine. Many partner will meet you at Beanley and off you go. All right. So I get down to Southport and get into comms, grab the keys, go back out to the vehicle. And then I was in a bit of a hurry to get out of there. So I didn't even look at, and it was the old Commodore. Yeah. One of those old Commodore trucks. So I didn't even check. I didn't even open the boot to have a look at what equipment I had. I mean, I wasn't doing anything. I was just driving it from point A to point B. So I had no drug kit or anything like that. So I jumped in and off I go. And I think the first problem was up until that point, my partner earlier in the week had done all of the input of the information onto the MDT.
Mobile
yeah. During the whole rest of so I wasn't that proficient in that yet. So I wasn't really sure what I was doing, but I thought, they did say it to me to log on when you leave. And I said, all right. So I'm like just driving along randomly pushing buttons and I've locked myself on as an intensive care paramedic. So that was a good start. I didn't realise that at the time.
First week.
Yeah.
Student.
Yeah. Look at me go. So didn't even want to go to the loo by myself, let alone do anything like that. So anyway, so then off I go. I'm tunneling along up the M1. And then the guy at comms at the time was on the radio and he's calling this truck number. And I can't actually remember what it was. We'll call it 402.
Yeah.
But yes, it's funny, 402. 402. 402, you're receiving 402. And I was thinking, for God's sake, 402, can you answer your radio? It took another probably few minutes. So I suddenly thought, oh, wow. What's his truck? And I didn't even know where to look. So I pulled over and got out of the car and had a look at the number up on the thing. I was like, oh shit, that's me. So I jumped on the radio. 402. Oh, 402. We've been trying to get you. I said, I'm so sorry. I had a bit of a radio issue. Oh, yeah, no worries. Yeah. All right, okay. I've got a job for you, matey. And I was like, what do you mean you've got a job? I went, okay, all right. I guess that's what I'm doing now. All right. All right, what's the job? Oh, a 9 echo beat. And I didn't know what the coding was or anything, so it's completely oblivious. And I was like, what's a 9 echo beat? Cardiac arrest. And I was just like, I think I had my own cardiac standstill for a minute. And I was just like, oh my God. And I said, and then I was on the radio. I'm a student, brand new student, my first week, and I'm by myself. Yeah, that's all right, matey. We got nobody else. Oh my God. And then we had no GPS or anything. So I had the map book.
Yeah.
So I've had to pull over and I'm looking at the map and I can read a map without any major drama. I don't have to turn the book around. But
add stress to it.
And it goes over so many pages because you start off down the goalpost and I was just like, I'm trying to figure it out. And I must have sat there for a few minutes just to get myself into a complete flat spin. And then the radio jumps to life again. He's like, we can see that you're stationary. What are you doing? And I was like, I'm looking in the map book. I don't know where I'm going. Because may I remind you, you are code 1. You're a single officer at the hospital. I know. Don't worry. I know. So we got going. I got going. And then I'm driving along and I was just boot into it a bit, cruising along. And then I suddenly thought, lights and sirens. So I'm trying to, nothing's working. Then I'm on the radio. How embarrassing. I'm on the radio then, comms, my lights and sirens aren't working. And then somebody else out there that was listening jumps on and said, try the master switch. Oh, thank you. Oh, good. So lit up like a Christmas tree and off I go. And I was just like, this is all right. I can do this. And then I started thinking, and I'm starting thinking about the actual job and I'm like, oh my God. And I'm thinking, I don't even know what I've got in the back. Have I even got all the stuff I need? God, can you imagine? I mean, well, not that it did me much good at that point. I didn't really know how to use it. I was just like, far out. So anyway, and then he said to me, don't worry about the map book. I'll direct you over the radio. Oh, okay, cool. So then we come up towards the Beanley South exit, I suppose, at Mount One Park exit. And he's on the radio and he said, all right, take this next exit. Mount One. Yeah, okay, cool, thank you. So I took that and then to get up over the hill. And then there's another big roundabout and start that exit, whatever it is, fourth exit off that roundabout. Okay. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Off I go. Booted up over the hill. And then I'm flying back down the hill towards that great big roundabout. So about the back of Beanley down in Mount Long Park. And I think there's a servo on the corner. The showgrounds on another little bit. So I think there's like 6 or 7 maybe entrances and roads coming in. So I'm barreling down the hill towards this. I had no idea where I was going. And I'm looking at this. I was like, oh, great person. Where am I going now? I didn't think to pick it up and ask him where I was going. And he just wasn't there. So I thought, oh. So I've hit the roundabout and it's like, oh, surely any second now. So I just started going all the way around. And I thought, oh, by the time I get back, it'll be fine. But no, it wasn't fine. There was no voice. I don't know where I may have gone. But I just kept going. And then, I mean, obviously now, with the benefit of hindsight, I'd probably just pull over, turn everything off and just wait for further instruction. But oh, no, I just kept going. So I just went around and around and around. And I think I've got like 6 laps all the way around. I think by lap number 4, I was in tears.
Oh.
By lap number 5, a police car was going somewhere and had come in and pulled up. That one I did. And then as we've gone around, and then I've gone around again, and then again, and I think the 3rd lap past them, this cop is just like waving at them. I was in floods of tears. You probably think, need the tire spikes here or what? Somebody fly with the ambulance? I said, oh my God. Okay. And then finally, the radio jumps like, oh, 402, sorry, forgot about you. Yeah, I fit. He said, oh, whatever it is, 2nd exit off. And then I'm crying on the radio, and I was like, I've gone round in circles so many times, I don't know where I started, so I don't know where the 2nd one is. Oh, God, how embarrassing. So we figured out eventually which one I needed to take. Yeah. And then I just took off up the road, and it was Mount Warren Boulevard that I needed. And he said to me, you're looking for Mount Warren Boulevard. So as I'm flying up the street, I just suddenly saw Mount Warren Boulevard. So I just braked. I got sideways around the corner. I was like, just mortifying. Oh, Jesus. Oh. And then, and then he said, oh, sorry, not that one. And I realised it's like a horseshoe and there's 2 entrances. And he's like, oh, so I could have just kept going. But oh, no. So he said, no. So I've turned it again. Just a little grass island thing in the middle, sideways over that, back out onto the road. And I was, oh my God. Then get up to the next one, this one, right. And then in amongst all of that, unbeknownst to me, he'd actually found another single officer. He'd already got on scene. I didn't know any of that. I still thought at this point that I'm still it. And I was like, oh my God. And then we pulled up. I pulled up and I saw this other car and I was like, oh, thank God. But then I thought, oh, I don't even know what to take in. I don't know what I've got. So I've opened up the back and I thought, oh, we'll probably need some extra oxygen. So I grabbed the O2 kit. I did have a DC as it turns out as well, but that's good. But I just grabbed the O2 and off I went inside. So I run up then, banged on the front door and I just hear these voices, So come in the front door, shut the door, and there was 2 lounge suites, opposite ends of the lounge room. And as I gone to run around the thing, I just heard this growl. And I was just like, and I'm looking, and it's like right down the back of this lounge was this cattle dog. Oh. And it's just like, your parts is mine. I was just like, hi, friend. I'm friend. And I was like walking sideways. And then ran. Stupid. I absolutely know better. But anyway, this dog's like wicked and just launched and came up over the back of the lounge and just like lashed onto my arm. Oh. So I got the O2 and just like, boosh. This poor dog. He went flying, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. There was big hole in trousers and parrots going everywhere. I'm like, oh. So I can only imagine the sight that, that poor single officer was working fairly hard. And I can only imagine the sight of me bowing down the hallway, big hole in my ass. And here I am. What would you like me to do? And I was just so yeah. And I think, so from there, well, the job was the job. But we ended up transporting to hospital. And then we'd been working on this patient for a long time. And then, of course, as soon as we pulled up, one of the doctors had come out and met us outside and was still trying to do CPR. So, no, stop. Just stop. Oh, we've been going for so long. We knew that was going to be the result. But it was a bit of a letdown after all the work. And then straight away, he's like, what is that on your backside? Puddle of claret and a hole in my trousers. And he's like, So after all that, I ended up, tetanus jab for me. I said, I can't drop my strides and get my backside wound sorted out. So that was funny. Oh, and then later, that was funny. Then I carried on. And then later on, that same shift, we got called to the watch house for a patient. And it ended up being a non-transport. And then we were sitting in where the police sit with the guys there doing some paperwork. So we could leave a copy with them. And we're chatting about whatever, just general stuff. And then this one cop all of a sudden starts laughing. He's like, oh my God, I saw the funniest thing earlier. Actually, I forgot to tell you about that before. And I was like, oh yeah, what's up? And he's like, I said, I don't know what the hell's going on. He said, we're down at the roundabout. And he said, there's a freaking ambulance there. And figured around and around and around. He said, I'm trying to wonder whether we needed to chase it or, pull him up or whether it was nicked or what. And I was like, oh. Do you know who that was? No idea. And he's like, oh, really? And I said, oh, embarrassing. I said, it was me. And so I'm like, it was so funny. And then I was like, oh, I said, when you guys pulled out, I said, I was in tears. I said, I was so stressed. And he's like, oh, I said, then when you waited, I went, no. I said, oh, you should have just pulled over. He said, we could have directed you where, we could have, led you where to go. And I was like, I didn't think about that. I did that.
Rock up.
Yeah. I said, there wasn't much sensible things going on between the ear-rolls at that point. But yeah, it's pretty funny.
Congratulations for surviving. That was the start of a very, how would we call your career?
Well, interesting. Never a dull moment.
So you mentioned about the ferry.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about this the other day. So I'm not really sure, as far as actual jobs and things, what we can go into. Probably won't go too much tonight, but I think generally, I think I'm certainly well known for attracting the weird and wonderful.
Basically, if shit's going to go down, your name's probably
attached to it. Yeah. I think, I'm sure supervisor reports after a night shift or something goes down. It's like, oh, yeah, cheers. Or something weird's happening on this job. They're like, oh, hang on, let's just fast forward to the bit. Which officers are involved? Oh, yeah. There it is. Yeah. I know we had one that a few years ago now where I cartwheeled down the side of a blooming mountain out the back of Terry Valley. That's so funny. Again, I'll probably really talk about the actual job itself, but the mission, it was like a 4-hour mission to get to the patient and climbing. It's like freezing, middle of winter, climbing up this, it wasn't quite a mountain, but it was bloody steep hill and there's rocks and stuff. At one point I nearly fell. And I was working with another officer who was obviously very fit. I'm obviously not, but it's quite funny. The copper team, there was one really fit and one not. And then the ABO team, there's one really fit and one not. So the 2 fit ones took off. They went for a little jog, I think. And then us 2 big ones were bringing up the rear, reliable as ever, trying to lean along, but dying as we climb up the hill. But anyway, he got a little bit further ahead of me. I could have seen him for a minute. And then I just slipped and then I've grabbed for a big tuft of grass. And just pulled the whole thing out, like roots and all, and they just cartwheeled. I was playing with him, just thought, oh my God, I thought I was going to eat shit then. And I was like,
no.
And then I keep this guy who had panicking. He's like, seriously, okay? I sat up and I've got tree branches hanging out, scratches everywhere. And, oh my God, I thought you were pretty dead. And I was like, oh God. Anyway, and then one of the supervisors the next morning and said, as soon as she heard of the job, so vaguely out in our region, hang on, let's help. Yeah, there she is. Yeah, doesn't surprise me. That's pretty cool.
Oh, but in saying that, you are an excellent clinician, and you are. And everyone loves working with you. So
I bring comedy value. That's
so. Take it back before the ambulance. You were
Source. Yeah. I started that many minutes ago. I was volunteering from first year of high school. And I think the very first bit was had to do some volunteering for the Duke of Edinburgh award scheme. That was a thing back then. Used to do lots of volunteering stuff. So the Duke of Edinburgh obviously created, I think it's just building good global citizens. Maybe that's about volunteering your time. There's lots of different sort of categories. You have to do outdoorsy stuff and then volunteering and almost like scouts type stuff. You get sort of badges and spot points and stuff towards your final award. I never actually went through and finished the rest of the requirements. But anyway, so I got into, so you have to did something interesting. Obviously at the time, animals were a big thing. So I thought the volunteering at the vet would be a good thing. So I started that when I was 13. And then went, I volunteered. I think ultimately I missed 2 weekends in 5 years, my whole high school career.
As a teenager, that's amazing. That's unheard of, kids.
Oh, they loved it. They took absolute
That's
advantage of
excellent.
that.
Yeah.
Saved them a vet nurse pay, I think. Most of them.
Wow.
But anyway,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, so I
You
did
must have
that.
loved it, though.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I did that every weekend. Oh, every Saturday, I should say. And then when I left school, they didn't give me a job. So that's fun.
After all level.
Yeah.
No, they don't pay you now.
No. So that was
Yeah.
suboptimal.
Guts.
Yeah. And I went off and did a year-long stint at a lawnmower factory.
Okay.
Pretty random, but
Yeah.
funny. Just friends of mum's actually. He was the spare parts manager there. So he used to, mum used to love it for that first little while. What does your daughter do? Oh, she works in a factory full of guys counting nuts. So I was literally in spare parts, like counting buckets of nuts and bolts and stuff. That's original mum. But yeah, so I did that for a while, and then a couple of vet nursing positions came available, like paid positions. So
Yeah.
I got back in then, started working, and then I was doing the training. But at the time, you had to be employed a certain amount of hours per week at a clinic before you could start your training. But then the vets didn't want to pay you until you were qualified. So that's always a challenge. But anyway,
Yeah.
I worked between a couple of different clinics and got my hours up and went off and did my training finally.
Yeah.
So, and then worked over here for a while, and then worked over in England.
Yeah, what led you to go over there?
I think the travel bug. Just wanted to see a bit of the world, and I'm quite fortunate I've got dual citizenship, so I've got son and family over there.
What age did you when you?
Early 20s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, not super young, but a bit of a sheltered life though. But so I went over there. First 6 months I just lived with my aunt, and which was amazing. That's just like a big holiday. But then I started to run out of money, and it really was a thing. You have to get yourself organised. So the local clinics weren't offering much. So I think I ended up registering with a locum agency thing and landed this amazing job in a big equine referral, equine and small animal referral practice.
Mm-hmm.
Huge. Nothing like I'd ever experienced over here. So I think I was employed as a small animal vet to start with, but I think by the end of the first week, they asked if I wanted to switch over to the equine end. So every time it had quietened down in the small animal end, I'd take off down. So I had like a literally hole in the wall viewing hatch thing into the equine theatre.
Yeah.
And I'd done a lot of equine stuff, but over here, like just dropping horses in the paddock and whatever, and waking them back up again and doing some. But not any proper surgical stuff in the theatre. So I was just like, my jaw was on the ground. I thought, oh my God, this is amazing. Yeah. And they're like, oh, we can't get equine nurses. Probably get more smallies, but if you're interested, oh yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
And then ended up we did a lot of on-call emergency stuff anyway. So at night you'd be small and large, whatever. I don't know, that's it. Yeah, whatever. So if any small animal emergencies, we do anesthetics and stuff for that. But yeah, it was amazing. That was a fabulous time. And then Mum became unwell twice actually. She called that stunt. So
Your mum?
Yeah, so I come home early. She'd had a MI, so I had to come home. Sorry. So I came home, and ultimately she recovered from that. And then 6 months later, kind of kicking around and something. I miss it. So I went back.
So you went back,
Another year and a half.
Yeah.
And then Mum had another heart attack. And then, it sounded at the time it was all going horribly wrong. So, so I back home a bit quick. And then, stayed back home. And then I worked a few different clinics for another 13, 14 months or something. And then the ambulance service thing came up. So that was it.
So was that something you were looking for? Or?
Oh, it was certainly something that, certainly something I'd always been interested in. But, I'm not an academic. I didn't do well, particularly academically at school. I mean, my last year of school was fairly traumatic. Mum had a lot of chronic illnesses and stuff, and sitting out of hospital, and I spent literally more weeks in hospital than not in that last year of schooling. So I'd spent a lot of time. I was never, I wasn't ever particularly academically minded anyway. I didn't need any help to be distracted from my studies, but that really took a back seat. So I helped run the household, and I I'd failed fairly dismally with my final year stuff, which was really upsetting at the time. I mean, my original aim was to go to uni and do nursing. So I'm into nursing, but
Did you not? Yeah.
that's fine. Yeah. So, but that's never going to happen with the marks that I've got. So, and then, and then I did a bridging course. That's right, the following year to try and get into. If you pass the bridging course, then you get into the uni course of your choice.
Right.
But then
That might be what I did. So you access to group of union? To group it?
no, it's a few of them.
Oh, okay.
But then I think a month before the final exams for that, I'd stacked it off my horse and busted a couple of bones in my neck. So, still sat my exams, but
yeah,
I think, but I was gutted at the time. I think ultimately I failed the entire thing by about a quarter of 1 point. Not like that. Really? Yeah. Anyway, so that was good of that. That's a shame, but never mind. And then, well, that was, I guess, back just after we've school, and then went off and did all the other things. And then, when this advert came out in the paper, so a student paramedic at the time, and I missed it.
Gosh, times have changed.
I know.
In the paper.
I know. And a weekend, and I missed it. A friend actually who just knew that was something that I was vaguely interested in, seeing the advert, and called me and said, "Oh, so, have a look." And even then, I nearly didn't apply because I said, "Oh, God, and these members are just so clever, so clever. Oh, just I wouldn't have any chance in health." And I thought, "Oh, well, give it a whirl.
Yeah.
What have you got to lose?" And I mean, it's a long-winded process. Got 12 months of all the sassing about. But yeah, got there in the end. And here we are.
Here we are.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Even
Imagine if your mum hadn't got sick.
yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Along the way, in any of those situations had changed or that's obviously
Connecting the dots. So you're exactly where you're meant to be right now. And ironically, you're still doing volunteering as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it seems to be a bit of a theme.
Yeah. So just about that.
So yeah, that was probably how many years was that now? I think 2018. Yeah, so you and I started that, didn't we? We went together and they didn't start to communicate. But yeah, so we went to that thing for Ambulance Wish Queensland. So that's a sort of part of or under the umbrella of Palliative Care Queensland, and it's we take patients, end of life patients, essentially out on their final wishes. So wherever that may be, to a park or the beach or back to their home.
Yeah.
So there's patients generally, not always, but generally who are bedbound and still need some sort of, medical supervision or care just to be safe. So our role in that is obviously from the ambulance point of view is driving the truck, operating the stretcher, access, egress, all that, sort of the logistics of it. And then we've usually got a clinical nurse, palliative care nurse, who comes with us and they look after the medical needs as such. Obviously, we're there if needs be. But yeah, so over the years, I don't know now how many I've done. More than 30, I think. So that's just on an as needs basis. Obviously, it's as being volunteer, we have to work around work and shifts, and I do tend to. I wouldn't say every lot of days off, but you get your runs that sometimes where you get you two close together, and then you get a bit of a breather. But no, that's
Is it close to 300 hours?
Yeah, almost 300. Not actually sure exactly how many, but I've got to be close. Yeah. I know I got my 200 hour pin last year.
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure out, I think since I've got that pin, I've done, I don't know, I've got to be close to another 10.
Wow.
So at least,
that's awesome.
But yeah.
And you were telling me that you like to say do photograph books and stuff for the family, don't they? And you get one of those as well?
Yeah, those blue things. I think that one was.
Oh, there's a heap of those. Yeah, that's awesome.
No, yeah, that's good. It's nice.
Is there any particular one or two that stick out?
It's funny, isn't it? I mean, they're all really special, I think, in their own little way. Every wish is different. Even like if you've got two wishes that go to the beach, every family dynamic is different. Every patient situation is different. So, it's never just going to the beach kind of thing. But I think probably anything involving animals, I'm usually pretty happy with. We've had, we did one, I think we were talking about that the other day about to SeaWorld last year. That was amazing. And as I was saying at the time, I was pondering that, and I can't actually remember what had happened that previous week, but there's something, life was kicking me in the balls. I think I can't remember exactly what had happened, but whether it was, a rough few days at work or something else.
Yeah,
yeah, I can't. Anyway, and I mean, but I mean, for me, it's all what sort of therapy is it? But I enjoy it's. You don't have to think too hard about what you're doing, and it's nice to do something good for people.
Yeah,
that makes me feel good. So a good thing.
Yeah,
good timing anyway to go off and do a wish. But we got to SeaWorld, and this lady's wish was originally to feed the stingrays, I think, but in amongst it all, sort of they decided that obviously the dolphin visit would be compulsory. So. We had a few technical issues at the beginning, so we were running a bit late for the dolphin show. So we got just very much the tail end of that. But then she got a meet and greet. And at the time, I was actually thinking, I hadn't done behind the scenes thing before, but I really thought that it would be a case, on those little boardwalk things that you go between the dolphins' pools, that you would just be walking and that maybe they'd get one of them to pop its head up and have a chat. But no, this lady, she's amazing. One of the dolphin trainers, she said, no, forget that. And took us all this back way down to this little beach thing with a short section of sand. Can she get in the water? And I was like, well, that wasn't quite planned, but I mean, yeah, I guess. For it? Yeah. All right. So we usually picked her up and plonked her in, just like that much water. And oh my God, this dolphin's amazing. And came right, and they were incredible. I came in and, and then the trainer was teaching this lady a couple of, cues to give the dolphin. So she was making it speak and wave its tail around and wave its flippers and stuff. It was very cool. We were off to the side, but then at one point she said, okay, volunteers, if you'd like to come in and, you can pat the dolphins and tie it in. Absolutely. So patting and stuff. Anyway, and then she was sort of releasing the dolphin to go off and do its thing, so it's not just doing party tricks type thing. And she was looking at me at one point, and I was a bit like, are we staring at me for? She said, I'm watching, this dolphin's behaviour. She said, he's really stuck on you. And he did, kept going off and doing his thing. And then he'd come back and just hang out, just close by. And she's like, she said, he notices. And she said, have you had any, I said, actually, it doesn't matter. But she said, whatever's happening, she said, he's feeling that emotional attachment to you. And that, perhaps he might need some dolphin loving or something to that number. So, and of course, whatever it was, I was a bit delicate. I was like, well, just because it's hilarious. But yeah, it was beautiful. Actually, it was very special. So yeah, any of those, and then we did another wish where a young patient really, it was sad, but she wanted to go home and see her pet cow, and her dog, and it was hilarious because I was sort of primed up and I was thinking about, obviously I'm relatively familiar with animal behaviour, and I thought, this patient on a big yellow stretcher, I can't imagine this cow's going to be very keen to come over close to her. So I got some bribery. So we've gone with some bread and some carrots, I think I took, and some dog biscuits dog treats to entice the dog over. And it worked a treat. We've gone out actually right into the yard, and we've got this cow to come right over. It was amazing. And I think we got a really cool photo of this cow literally with her head right on this lady's lap.
Oh,
it was amazing. And it was actually really funny because I didn't realise at the time that our photographer was terrified of cattle and cows. I had no concept. I was saying, look at the pretty, come closer, pretty cow. And this poor photographer, would you stop? And I'm just like, and at one point I turned, I was like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm terrified. And I was like,
of a cow.
Sorry. And I was just like, oops. But that was quite funny. And then, so the animal-wise, they're probably the top two. Another really lovely one a couple of years ago was up to Gympie. That was a long day. But this lady had tickets to a Fleetwood Mac tribute band.
Oh,
so she's a little Fleetwood Mac fan. Don't mind a bit of Fleetwood Mac. So I was like, this is a pretty cool wish. But it was just long-winded. Obviously, we had to, pick her up at the Sunshine Coast and then drive up to Gympie, stay for the concert, and then come back home again. But that was, and she was really, really lovely. She was when we got to the Palliative unit where she was staying. Admitted at the time, she was sitting there getting her hair done. She had a big glass of wine.
Oh,
she was having a great time.
Oh, no.
And then before we actually left, she fell. Yeah. And I was like, oh. And even then, you can sort of, obviously my way with people can be a bit, not necessarily by the textbook at times. But we'd gone out to get the stretcher, and she felt while we were outside. So it was all happy and joyous when we left. And then we came back and everyone's a bit like, and I was just like, what? What? And then one of the nurses at the desk, that's actually pretty funny. One of the nurses at the desk, she was just like shaking her head and she's like, and I was just like, oh, did you die? I thought that's what she did. What? Well, that's inconvenient. Oh. No. But then she's like, oh, so, and then she started, that was quite funny. She started laughing, realising what I thought. And, oh, no, let's try that again. She's fallen. She's still on the floor, but just waiting for somebody to come and assess her and see if she's injured. And I was like, oh. And I've looked and there's so many people in there. So, it was kind of stayed out of the way for a minute, but nothing was really sort of happening. And I was like, beginning, is she injured or, we're just waiting? I said, so I walked in and I said, no, my love. And she goes in. I said, I think, mate, was that the wine maybe? I said, also known as falling down water. So maybe. I said, are you injured? No. And there was a doctor who had just arrived. So she did a couple of quick checks and she said, no. And I said, I'm fine. She just couldn't get up. She was quite weak and stuff. I said, stop that attention-seeking bullshit behaviour. Let's get you off the floor. Lock you in the stretcher. Because even the doctor's like, oh, do you still feel like you want to go? Or would you like to stay home? She said, you will not tie me. Shit, I'm going. Yeah. Come on. Yes. And I said, let's go. So that's, so, we got her into the stretcher and then she was aware. And then when we got up to give me the band were amazing. They obviously knew that we were coming and stuff, so they'd come out and, give her posters and a few little souvenirs and got some lovely photos. And then once they started the show, they actually did the first song and then stopped and talked about the fact that this lady was here and, gave ambulance wish a really big plug. And, it was lovely actually. And then right at the end, she was, I want to get up and dance. And I was like, well, we know what you did last time. So if you can throw yourself on the floor, then absolutely not. I promise I won't. She'd had a few hefty glasses of wine at that point, so I was a bit concerned. But yeah, they got a couple of funny photos actually. She ended up, she stood up and she put her arm around my shoulder. And then I sort of hung on to her hip.
Forced to dance.
So yeah, that's never a good look. But
I only dance when I'm drunk.
Yeah. So yeah, that was funny. But that was lovely. Which actually, I mean, she was knackered, obviously, the slept all went home. Yeah. But yeah, she was happy. So yeah, so many things. Wishes they're beautiful in their simplicity. People don't tend to want these great, big, elaborate things. It's family. Whatever.
It's interesting, isn't it? How at the end of life, or when you're obviously faced with something like that, it's not the flash cars and big houses and stuff. It's realizing what is most important.
Yeah. All those connections and family and friends, and we've had a few sort of wishes where people just want to picnic with their family and friends, and we get quite big crowds. It's they're pretty special. You're watching some of these people, you're just so surrounded by love. I guess it's just like watching them as like centre of attention, and you think, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
It's a nice one that happened a little while ago. Now I wasn't part of that one, but that's like a living wake. This fellow wanted to just go home and have a bonfire. I think it had like 150 people.
Wow.
Organised all within the space of a couple of days. It's amazing. And I often think, a bit of plug to our team behind the scenes that actually do the legwork in organising these wishes. For us, it's fairly straightforward. We get a run sheet. This is where you're going. That's who you're picking up, and that's what you're doing next. And then whatever. So it's just us turning up and going and doing the thing. But the hours of work that goes into organising and stuff is immense. We've got a small but mighty team. That's it's amazing what they've organised and what they can sort of pull together in a big hurry if they have to. Some of these wishes, they can pull them together in a couple of days, and that sometimes plans have to change.
Yeah,
fairly unexpectedly. The patient starts deteriorating, or so. But yeah, we try to get as many sort of through as we can. We don't like to think of too many people missing out.
Yeah.
Most of the time, so it all goes ahead. Yeah.
So how does, say if someone had a loved one that was palliative, how do they go about organising it?
I think the current process is still the original request comes through from the palliative care team.
Yeah.
So they can be community patients in the home. It doesn't have to be in an inpatient unit. But yeah, the palliative care team sort of initiate the contact and do the initial or application, I guess, and then it sort of goes from there. So yeah, if anyone's got any relatives that are getting power care services, and mention the team.
Yeah.
So yeah, get the ball rolling.
So thinking about your whole career, nursing, paramedic, ambulance wish, would there be, what comes to mind like your biggest adventure? Or what's your, what would be the standout? Do you have a standout job or something that made you, I don't know, just
It's funny, isn't it?
when people ask me what sort of jobs have you gone to, you just sort of go blank.
Yeah, you really do.
Yeah.
And then there's so many, and then you're sort of thinking about what's actually appropriate to, have a discussion about. Again, honestly, for me, I think I get a lot of satisfaction out of the simple stuff, the more mundane stuff. I love going to the oldies, nursing home patients, especially making them, especially dementia patients, if they're, panicking and, trying to help calm them down. I've had a few, many, many times over my career, but yeah, I find that quite rewarding. It doesn't always work, obviously, but, I had a fella one day that was really agitated, dementia patient, and I was just looking around his room as you do. Sometimes you see amazing things on the wall, like photos and, whatever they've been up to throughout their life. And I saw that there was a picture of him playing a pipe organ. Yeah. Looked to be in a UK kind of a church. And mum and dad were both in choirs and stuff in their youth. So certainly I was brought up with a fairly random appreciation for that sort of style of music. Certainly it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I was like, oh, is he pipe organ? And then his daughter was there. She said, oh, yeah, he used to be like the choir master at one of the cathedrals.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. So I sort of pondered for a minute, and I can't even actually remember clinically what was wrong with him. It doesn't matter really. But anyway, we sort of got him settled eventually enough to get onto the stretcher. And then he became really quite agitated again. So I ended up fishing through my phone and found, actually, at the time I had an organ music CD downloaded onto my phone. So I just thought, oh, well, let's just see if that helps him settle. And so I put the volume up as loud as I could. He was yelling at the time, put it on the pillow, and it was amazing. Like, it was like I'd give him a sedative. The effect was immediate. I just settled down, and you could sort of see him not trying to figure out where the music's coming from. Anyway, so that particular piece of music finished, and his daughter was in tears. She thought, oh, that's just amazing. And then we get him into the back of the ambulance, and then he got, again, fairly agitated. So I just, so I was like, quick, another tune of some sort. So I fished through and found, I'm trying to remember, there was a particular hymn that I was somewhat familiar with. And I thought, being 5 months, so he would know absolutely what that was. So I started playing that hymn. Oh my God, he started singing.
Oh, wow.
And the daughter was just gobsmacked. She said, we haven't heard a word.
Oh.
He hasn't spoken a word for a year.
Oh.
But she said, some of you just, you unlock that whatever. They're just locked in, aren't they? Yeah. It's just like, it was amazing. So then I ended up, I'm no singer, but I'd had a little bit of tinkering around in my youth.
I've never heard you sing.
Yeah, just not.
We need to.
It's not good. But he was singing those most beautiful. It wasn't belting great big tenor voice, but it was a very definite sort of tenor roll. So I was like, oh, it's fine. I messed it up a few times, but I ended up jumping in and sort of harmonising in the chorus. And his face, he was just like, ooh, he started sobbing, and then he was laying on the stretcher and he was like conducting, it's amazing.
Oh, that's
so. And my partner was just like staring in the mirror. It's like, what are you doing back there? I was like, go quick, just while we've got him calm. But yeah, that's little moments like that.
That is what you do have such a knack in, is the little moments, but they're actually you take the time to go above and beyond in small ways.
Yeah,
they are.
Yeah, and I think obviously I've always been, I think, quite passionate about palliative care, end of life,
Yeah.
sort of situations anyway.
Just about why that is.
Well, I mean, I think even before mum and dad, I think I've been, it was just something that I really always very strongly believed should be available to people, and it should, quality of life is so important. You know, not only symptom relief, but surrounding people with all the important things in their life. And then obviously over the time, I mean, I think even experiences with you when you lost your mum, and the lack of palliative care services, that you had.
That's a whole podcast.
Yeah, that's I'll join you for that. That's terrible. And then obviously I lost my mum 8 years. Yeah, that's time. And that particular experience obviously was devastating, just even the fact that we lost her. But ultimately she just had the most appalling that whole last week of her life. Nothing went the way it should have. She was very passionate, obviously being a nurse herself. She had some very definite ideas. She was passionate about not being in hospital. She wanted to die, desperately wanted to die at home. And I think as the only kind of medical person in the family, her and I had some, fairly in-depth chats over the years. So I was very much the proxy, and, was understanding of her wishes. But at the time when she was admitted into hospital, it just wasn't not supposed to be like that. It was supposed to just be she was just going in for symptom management. She had breakthrough pain from some back tumours and stuff. So it was literally supposed to be just a couple of days, get her sorted on a pump, a fentanyl pump, just to get her happy and, comfortable, figure out what the good dose was, and then, get some blue nurse input and then bring her back home. So that's absolutely what we thought was happening. But, as I say, that's another whole podcast. It's the lack of communication. And again, the little things, but the lack of communication. Dad is obviously her spouse. So he was the one that they directed all of the contact with. And I wasn't living with Dad at the time. So sometimes those wires would get crossed. Dad would get a phone call. And, Dad himself was obviously doing what he thought was best for her in decision making. But he was really quite unaware, I think, of just how important it was to her to not be at hospital. So I don't think he sort of probably pushed, but it wasn't necessarily his job to. But anyway, so it was just a mess. And then the last few days of her life were terrible. Like we just had constant issues butting heads with, the nursing team. Again, there was no palliative care unit. So she was on the general med ward.
Same.
It's busy, and again, I'm not bagging the nursing team. They're obviously understaffed, overworked, all the rest of it. But just right at the end, they're obviously, to me, the most important thing was symptom relief. And, she had a lot of breakthrough pain situations. And, the nursing team was so busy that it would be hours, you'd be requesting pain relief. And I'm just like, this is just, anyway. So,
and you know what? As a nurse, when I did my training, there was no really teaching of palliative nursing. It's a degree and stuff.
Yeah.
Don't know if they've changed it now, but it's huge.
Oh, it's the most important thing.
Everyone's going.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and then right at the end, I mean, her actual death itself, even that was, traumatic, and nothing like it should have been. And I think, obviously the whole family was devastated, but I think as the medical, I mean, I've seen death done beautifully, and I've seen it done awfully, and it was beyond traumatic. But hers was not one that I really seemed to have any ability to influence. And I really just, I'll never forgive myself for that. So it's, so obviously I think those sort of scenarios. And then after Mum died, Dad moved in with me, and we had an amazing 5 years together here before he died 3 years ago. Completely broke my heart.
Yeah.
But even Dad's death, I mean, I wasn't there. It was just, he didn't follow the rules. That's not how it was supposed to be. Doesn't sound like, from his end, I think it was probably fairly quick. He just finished dialysis and had a sudden, unexpected cardiac arrest in the hand. So, but even then, like the notification process, that phone call, I mean, I've got Dad's sense of humour, so you've really got to laugh about it now. But oh my goodness, how not to?
I was going to ask you the sense of humour from, or
Dad.
where do you think it
I mean, Mum was good, but Dad definitely.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah. So yeah, I think all of those sort of things combined, it was just, makes you more passionate, I think, to, whatever influence or impact I can have to help somebody's, journey towards that end. Something I can do that makes it less, not only painful, but, emotionally painful or physically painful or whatever, whether I'm at work,
And your dad was very proud of you.
Oh, he was so
I was
excited.
proud of you with everything.
Yeah, he really was really excited by it, which, I mean, Dad was very, very British, very stiff upper lip and not a particularly, I mean, he was a big softie and I knew that, absolutely, but he wasn't overly demonstrative. But yeah, he used to get really excited about this whole wish situation. And every time I'd go off to a wish, he'd be bouncing around that morning, in the mornings he'd be, he never used to bother trying to, decipher the coffee machine, but on those mornings he was trying to help me get out the door, knowing that I'm always chasing my tail, putting toast on, or trying to get the coffee.
How many late you going funeral?
I know, I will. That's going to be, I think, for sure. It's got to be 15 minutes late. But yeah, all throughout the day, obviously he would know beforehand where I was going and what I was doing, but, throughout the day there'd be text messages checking in. How's it going? Yeah, good. Yeah. Okay, all right. I'll leave you a beat. Yeah, okay, I'm busy. So I'll get back to you later. Okay. And as soon as I get in the car, I'd usually message him and say, heading home now. Do we need anything on the way home? Otherwise, I'll see you in a bit. As soon as that message was sent, the phone started ringing. And he'd ring. I'd be like, yeah, be home in an hour. I'll chat to you then. No, just talk to me on the way home. I'm on your hands-free thing, aren't I? And I said, yeah, it's fine. Don't tell me all about it. How did you do it? And then as soon as he walked in the door, it was like we hadn't even just been talking for an hour. It was hilarious. But yeah, he was, so yeah, I think for me, these, obviously it's not about Dad particularly, but, for me, just quietly, each wish that I do is a little nod to him.
Yeah.
It's not, I think we said the other week, certainly, I think some folks, some of my friends and family were probably a little concerned after Dad died that these wishes would be too emotionally, taxing. And some days they're pretty heavy, but still, for me, it's a way to honour Dad. And I know, I think I pretty well interpreted his stiff upper lip most of the time. It's just like, crack on, get on with it. And he would be, I could imagine the conversation, I don't think we should do it, Dad, because I'm too upset. He would absolutely, no, that would be a foot up the backside.
Yeah.
Get out there. Yeah, we'll do it. So yeah, it's, it's nice. He's sitting on my shoulder. He's always, I'm sure, smiling down. Mum would be too, but yeah, she didn't know anything about this. All happened after she died. That's a bit stuff, but yeah.
So, what would be the best advice that you've ever been given, whether it's your dad or someone throughout your career? God. Or a friend, but you have like a life motto or something?
Oh, stay put till you make it.
What do? You started off the first week.
That works fairly well for me, didn't it? I don't know. Oh, God. I'm sure there should be some really profound moment that...
Yeah. What about some advice that you've got for becoming paramedic?
Well... yeah, we keep it PG, don't we? I mean, look, we've got some really amazing, young clinicians in the service these days. I mean, obviously the whole training sort of thing has changed from the diploma during the course of my career, diploma through to MC uni. It's all uni-based now. We've certainly got some incredibly intelligent, very good clinicians, textbook clinicians, but communication, I think, is always such a big thing and something that, it's not uniform. They're not all terrible at it or anything, but I think just because a lot of these kids are coming straight out of uni and straight out of school into uni and then straight out on road. They're still so young, when they get the road. And, I think it just takes some life experience and life skills to learn some of those communication techniques. So that's certainly something that most of them could work on. Staying humble. That's you do see a bit of a change in attitude. You see an awful lot of really, cocky sort of, I don't know. I mean, they're not even just clinically, but just the way they're sort of trying to communicate. You just, I've seen folks 3:00 in the morning walk into a 90-year-old war veteran's house and say, "All right, what's the life nature of your emergency?" And you just think, "Oh, if I knew that was coming out of your mouth, I would have locked you in the car." You know, it's mortifying.
Yeah.
No need for that.
Yeah.
That sort of personality type, I think, they learn fairly quickly that
Pegged out for you.
we
used to say we'll send them to work.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll, that sort of workload. High turnover workload certainly makes or breaks fairly quickly, doesn't it? And even, we talked before about a lot of, scene safety stuff and things that become second habit to those of us that have been around for a while. Some of the newer folks, they're just really blasé with some of those things. And we were having this conversation at work the other day, and it said to this one particular chick who was having a conversation, I said, you've never had the living shit scared out of you by a patient in a scene safety situation, and it shows. I said, you'll settle, you'll get there eventually. I said, but once you've had a real fright, a real threat to your safety, then it certainly changes your entire outlook. And,
You've unfortunately had it.
Yeah. Had a few hairy moments.
How does that change you as a person, do you think?
Wakes you up to yourself, I think, probably, And I think some of those situations haven't necessarily happened because I've done anything wrong or I've been lazy or blasé.
No.
Sometimes things really just do change on a dime, and you can't always predict. But it wakes you up and it gives you a fright and keeps you up on your toes. That's my adrenals get pretty decent workout on those those occasions, that's for sure. But I think getting a clinical fright, that's a different beast altogether. Just when somebody's medically,
as soon as you said that, I thought about the first time I gave adrenaline.
I remember that. I was at the hospital when you turned up.
Oh, I thought I was going to kill this patient.
I thought you'd given yourself adrenaline. Your eyeballs are out on stalks.
I remember I rang up the trainer. I won't say his name, but I think I was I brand new qualified? I can't remember, but I rang the trainer afterwards and I said, "You arsehole." And he goes, "What?" And I said, I did this job, blah, 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 anaphylaxis. And I said, and I was, I gave adrenaline, and all I had was little, whatever his name is, sitting on my shoulder going, "If you're going to give adrenaline, be aggressive, be aggressive."
Smack it with the big stick.
So I did, and I thought I was going to kill this guy. That whole impending doom thing that you go on about, you just said it blasé.
That's the paramedics impending doom, not the patients.
I said, the impending doom is real. And you think you're going to kill them. He goes, "You are?" And I went, "Well, yeah, but that's not the point."
But even back then, it was such a rarity, really, for us to give adrenaline.
Yeah.
It was such a big deal, whereas now, it's not, you're certainly not giving it every day, but that threshold is significantly lowered. So but it's still,
funny.
It's scary. Yeah. It's just that,
And boy, did I get laughed at.
That was funny. I remember. Do you remember who I was working with?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was wetting himself laughing. He was out of action for 10 minutes afterwards. He's like, "Oh my God, their face." So I think you're in
So I think
you're in the F weren't you? I've opened I've clipped the thing and opened the back door and it's sweet.
Well, because this guy was a big solid guy, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I'll be aggressive because you can handle it. And then he's just gone, "Oh." And I've just gone, "Shit." I'm like, what the hell have I just done? Have I just killed the guys? There goes my career.
It's nice while it lasted.
Yeah.
No, I think we've all had a few of those jobs.
Yeah.
But I think that, as I say, that's a different fright. Again, the clinical fright when someone really starts going down the plug hole.
Yeah.
Tell you there's various ways that your sphincter can get a workout in this job. Probably found most of them.
I remember I said to a student once, I said, "Do you drink?" Like, bowl. No. Oh, well, you will be after you've been in this job for a while. Yeah. So in finishing up, it's been great. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Uh,
What do you hope to be doing?
doing what I'm doing now.
You love it.
I really do. It's,
Yeah.
and it's funny, isn't it? We were talking, obviously, recently.
Take one of this episode.
Yeah. Take one, take two. Yeah. So it sounds like I'll be having my first little stint in the next little while of acting OIC.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Well done. Cheers.
Cheers.
I'm surprised we've only, it's been an hour. We're doing pretty good.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's certainly my first dipping of my toe into the these sort of waters. And honestly, it's really not something over my career that I've had any great aspirations for. A lot of people have said over the years you should, but I really just enjoy being on road.
Yeah.
One patient, one family at a time.
Yeah.
Giving them the best that you've got, and then on to the next one. And obviously all of the other roles are important, but you obviously don't get that patient contact.
Yeah.
With those roles. So yeah, it's just not something I've sort of actively chased, but let's face it, for 21 years, it's probably time. But
You're a great manager and a role model for the young one coming up. You doubt yourself. Well, there'd be a lot of very happy people at your station, I can imagine. So,
well, we'll see. How's it been? We'll reconvene after Christmas or something. And,
we'll ask them on days.
Yeah. Take 3. You'd be like, well, actually, no. Oh, look, it's not without its anxieties. It's a challenge.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the thing. Maybe I'm just lazy. Some people really enjoy that, being terrified every day, but I'm just too lazy for that.
I think
get me into a little niche where I'm happy and just let me cruise along. That's generally, but obviously, I hurt my back earlier this year, so I've been on light duties since June. So, this, I guess, was probably a natural progression from that. I've certainly gained a lot more insight into the day-to-day running of the station that I had no idea about. All the things like drug management, stop ordering, personnel stuff.
Melody stuff.
Yeah, just vehicle stuff and, all of the things you just think, and then in amongst it all, the OIC's out on, 4 or 5 jobs a day on their own.
Wow.
While you're doing all of this. So,
yeah.
site management isn't one of my best traits. So this could be one hell of a shit show. Stay tuned. We'll see.
We'll do another episode. I see. Yes.
Yeah. I see whenever how not to do this exhibit, but we'll see. Hopefully, I can, not do anything too disastrous.
Sure.
There'll be an awful lot of phoning friends, I'm sure. We'll see. It's all fun and games, isn't it? But at the end of the day, I really don't have any, I guess long-term goals to be really doing anything other than this. We'll see how long the body lasts and see how many more years of shift work I've got under my belt. But I think I'm keen to get back now. I'm excited to hopefully get back soon and get a quick maybe any week or so. Patient care stuff before doing the IC thing. But yeah, and I've been obviously back doing the ambulance push stuff for a couple of months. But that pleased me. I mean, that was a really miserable few months early in the year, with not only obviously the back injury, being in pain and not very mobile, but obviously not being able to work. And really, I mean, obviously since Dad's died, I'm lonely some days. And then obviously in February the cat died 2 weeks before I hurt myself. So I lost my last little bit of connection. So me, myself, and I make the best of some best company. But yeah, so that first few months.
So that's what friends for.
Yeah. So I think I'm lucky. I've got a good little tribe, but certainly those first few months were challenging. Obviously work is not just work, but it's a social work family. It's like my social thing. It's my connection to the outside world, and
it does become a family.
Very it's important. So obviously to lose that all of a sudden, in pain and sat here sulking and looking at ambulance fish stuff as well.
Yeah.
And again, sometimes I sort of think that's, I wouldn't actually call it therapy, but I enjoy doing it. That's it's a very deliberate thing for me in my mental health to
Yeah.
do some good, spread the love or the joy, boy.
Yeah.
You know, so
Well, we do all the stick stuff. Yeah. Studies have shown that it fills you up just as much as the person receiving it. So,
good.
There you go.
There you go. So yeah, so no, I'm happy. Happy spot right now. Well, happier. I was not quite back, but 2 weeks from that. Okay, well,
It's been great. Thanks, buddy.
no worries. Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers. See you next time.
And that brings us to the end of today's episode. A huge thank you to the incredible Sue Neale for sharing her stories, her heart, her humour and her insight. Few people get to see the side of paramedicine that Sue has witnessed up close, and even fewer can tell those stories with such honesty, compassion and laugh out loud brilliance. If today reminded you of anything, I hope it's this. In the middle of a crisis, grief, endings and uncertainty, humanity still shines. Sometimes through a song in the back of the ambulance, a concert, a family gathering, or even a cow wandering up to say goodbye. Sue's work shows that dignity, kindness and presence matter, maybe more than anything else. Thank you for listening and being a part of this conversation that truly matters. Until next time, open your mind, trust your heart, and don't be afraid to talk about it.